Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and the new edition of our online interview series. We want to get now for the first time. Actually, we spoke already 3 years ago, but that's why I say now for the first time, because 3 years is a long time, to Silver Tiger Metals, one of the real hotshots here in the silver market, becoming a mine in the future here, and not far away, but near-term future, I would call it. And we have Glenn Jessome here, the CEO, who wants to give us an insight. Hey, good morning to Canada. How are you?
Jochen, good morning from Canada, East Coast, Halifax. And you know what? I still remember when I ran into you at some show in Europe and we did that interview. I had so much fun and I still remember it. So let's have some fun again today. I enjoyed that one. So I'm glad we're doing this again.
That's fantastic. Let's do that. Great. So first question, as always, is like, can you give us a short overview on the company so that our viewers understand where are you based, what do you want to do, or what are you doing?
Management team in Halifax, asset in Mexico, silver, 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 and a bit of gold. So that's really who we are. Look, I've been very fortunate to be part of a group out of Halifax that's been in Mexico almost 30 years, finding, developing, and building large silver mines. The group have done one, two, three. They built. They're going to build five, four, and five very shortly. Tigre being one of them. And on 3 occasions, we sold to majors. Almost 100% track record of taking a first drill hole and turning it into a producing mine that makes metals, mainly silver. So, track record's everything. If we didn't have that, basically we'd have nothing. Hang your hat on that first. The best teams get the best assets. 2017, I'm a securities lawyer by training. Our team identified an asset we had to have, El Tigre, wasn't really for sale. I basically moved the pieces around to acquire a public company, delisted that public company, put this asset in our public company, Silver Tiger, El Tigre, and we got to work. And getting to work has been $120 million we've raised, 100 of that during AMLO from the smartest, long, precious metals institutions on the planet, Franklin Templeton, Van Eck, Merck, et cetera, et cetera.
The who
What
is
did
who, I
we
would say.
well, it was tough.
Yeah.
Way better in Mexico now. We're gonna talk about that. We're so excited about the new president and all the things that are happening.
Yeah.
But what did that get us? Well, it's got us about 300 million silver equivalent ounces on the books. That's a lot.
Mhm.
100 million of that in a beautiful open pit. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. That's ready to build, PFS done. I've got the debt done for that. And exciting, door number two, a PEA, a preliminary economic assessment for that big underground, which we think is just getting going. It's probably going to go for 20 or 30 years. So we should be the next silver producing mine in Mexico in the next
Mhm.
18 to 20 months. So yeah, it's been
Oh,
a lot
that's
of work,
fast.
but we've come a long way.
That's super. Before we dive into your fantastic numbers and also the open pit, I want to raise a question about Mexico, about Mrs. Scheinbaum, because there was something in the news which I really could not believe that she will not grant any more permits.
No,
So
no,
I'm
no.
not sure if we talk about permits or something else.
Oh, boy, boy, boy. I hear this in the States, the United States. We're in Canada. We don't have it, but down there they have fake news. You hear them all saying this. That is so not what was said. That's so not what she's doing.
Mhm.
Look, AMLO, we raised all that money during his
Mhm.
presidency, 6 years. It was a tough. We've been through our group 5 or 6 different presidents. He was very tough. He was more socialist oriented. That's the people of Mexico voted for him 100%. He's going to do what he's going to do. He had a mandate. One thing that people worried about was he was going to get rid of mining and especially open pit mining. I raised $100 million for our open pit and underground mine from the smartest people in the world. They trusted that wouldn't happen as I did, and it
Mhm.
didn't happen. He
Mhm.
left, she took over. She's very capitalist oriented. We think she's a fantastic president. Her
Mhm.
her business model released in January. She's only been not even in power 6 or 7 months. Her business plan in January, Mexico 2030, make Mexico on foreign investment, including in mining, a top 10 world economy.
Makes
Beautiful.
sense.
That's
Mhm.
very makes sense.
Yeah,
Now, I will tell you exactly what's happening in Mexico. Okay. And then we'll talk about our permit too. I'd like you to ask me about that later. Don't let me
of
forget it.
course.
I'll tell
No,
you.
no, no.
But we have 2 types of permits in Mexico. A modification permit, which
Mhm.
means there's already a mine with a permit that modifies it to either expand the mine or do a different type of mining.
Mhm.
There's been 45 of those issued since January. So permits are being issued for
Okay.
modification. People need to know that.
Yeah.
Core, Alamos,
Yeah.
uh, Mag, Silver, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, in March at PDAC, I was there in Toronto, the giant mining show. I think you probably attend, or a lot of
Of
people.
course, I was there. Sure, we are TV partner.
The Minister of Mining, Abuitez, comes to, and it's very important, and gives a key speech at the Mexican Pavilion on site. 700 people there. It was all reported in the press. Go look at it. And we had dinner with him that night as a private dinner. It was wonderful. As one of the mining CEOs from Mexico, he said the
Mhm.
following: "There will be underground permits. There will be open pit permits. It's never going to be banned. The two types of permits are the same, and you're going to see them getting issued in the summer. The new ones." Now, remember, mine's an amendment permit. We'll come back to that later. Very important for us. Means we
Mhm.
can go faster. Last Thursday, a week ago, our team in Mexico were called, and this is important, and this was reported too, but people don't pay attention to the right news. So they were called to Mexico City. The person who's really number two to the president is a gentleman named Marcelo Abroad. He's what we call Minister of the Economy, mining and Semernet environment report to him. He had all the mining companies there. We were there. We were represented. And he said the following: "Your investment is very important to us because nearshoring has slowed down a little bit with Mr. Trump, as it is in Canada and across the world, a little bit of uncertainty until we kind of maybe renegotiate a few things. We have $6 billion in Canadian money ready to go into Mexico." And his quote, and you can go look at this, go find the press from Mexico last week, a week ago Thursday. The following line was, "Mining is very much in fashion now. We need your investment." So that was very exciting. And he said, "Look, we've been 6 years behind. We're catching up. Permits are coming." The president then on Monday, a week ago, Monday passed, did a press conference. Okay. I've reviewed the whole thing, the whole transcript of it. It was
Mhm.
pre-recorded. She said the following: "We are behind 6 years in issuing permits. We need to get environment and mining to get these permits issued, and we're going to catch up on that." Number two, she said, "There will be no open bit mining ban." She said that in her speech. That's what they don't report. Not
Well
there.
done.
I saw it. And it said, as long as they are following the highest economic standards.
Exactly, which
Here's
you are
the
doing.
yours. Then she said the following, and this is where the press roll right in on this because they want something juicy. She said, "We're not going to issue any more concessions."
Yeah,
Do people know
that
what
makes
a
sense.
concession is? It's not a
Yeah.
permit. Your
Yeah.
concession is when you go out as a geologist and
Yeah.
you stake your claim and say, "I see something here.
Mhm.
I'm going to stake that ground, and maybe there's something there, and I'm going to pay a fee, and I'm going to own that concession." We've never staked concessions in our 30 years in Mexico. Everything that is or could be or will be or mine or explored, somebody owns the concessions already. We buy our concessions. We bought El Tigre, 30,000 hectares of concessions, 30 kilometers
I
long.
would say that's enough.
So that's enough. I think that's enough. It's a concession is not a permit.
Yeah.
So positive her message, and get ready for permits coming to Mexico, and that country's really going to re-rate when that happens. So I'm glad we had to
Absolutely.
talk of that
Yeah.
because I'm going to tell you one last thing.
Yeah.
We had 100 emails last week from very smart people that saw this headline and go, "Glenn, are you not getting your permit?" I'm going, "It's a concession. It's not, they're not the same thing. It's
That's two things. Yeah.
two things." So
Yeah.
there, I hope that helps people.
Yeah, that's super. No, thanks for the clarification because we had only this headline and I was like, "Hey, that makes no sense. That's bullshit." Okay, now we know it. That's perfect. So I think your PFS delivered very good years, 10-year mine life. That is fantastic. And also I think with the what is the hang on, yeah, the capital costs are around 87 million. Let's call it maybe 1995 with some inflation. That's fine. So the thing is, you need the permit, and do you still have to do a feasibility study, or is that all in one?
Great question. So what we did, and look, the guy he's talking through me right now. We hired Francisco Albalez 2 years ago, who's
Mhm.
my CO, our COO, amazingly strong person in Mexico. The 10 years before that, and many of your listeners may remember a company called Argonaut.
Mhm.
Argonaut had two of the biggest open pit mines in Sonora, where we are in Mexico. Francisco drilled them, developed them, built them, and ran them for that company, massive open pits. And then he left there and joined us. So when I tell you how we're going to build it and what it's going to deliver, this is the person whose numbers these are. So let's just think about the pit. 10 years. nine and a half. Just call it nine. That's only 60% of the ore. We optimized 40 of the 60 million tons. There will be more added on as we push back. But for right now, we've got 9.5 years. Think about this. Mexico is really simple. People have to understand this. There are some narrow vein underground mines, but 73% of the ore that's in precious metals comes from open pits today, the gold and silver. Don't ever forget that. So that's why it's so important. Why? Because you have a big open pit, low capex, easier mining, makes a ton of money, and you use that to develop the long life 20 or 30-year underground mine.
Mhm.
It's Pinos Altos, it's Mulatos, it's all of the big districts. That being said, we're just like them. So 86 million US. Think about this. At today's prices, drives an NPV of 493 million USD, an IRR of 70%. But the most beautiful part, over that 9 years, it makes 675 million USD after tax free cash flow,
Wow.
70, $80 million a year. That's the magic of the open pit. That is ready. We've underground. We'll talk about that in a minute. You're going to ask me about that PEA.
Mhm.
I had the permit already for that, for the 800 ton per day. So our permit is an amendment permit. It's not a new permit. Amending that permit so that we can carry out the operation on the open pit. So
Mhm.
that's what we're waiting for. Things are going very well there. So we're ready to build. Go ahead.
So that means when you get the permit for the open pit, you can really go full throttle forward for project finance?
Well, so let me tell you about that. That's a great
Okay.
question, Jochen. People don't forget to ask about that. Look, um, Francisco and I made a decision probably 2 months ago that we would not have made unless we had the permit in our hands usually. And that decision was to spend about $1 million to hire, not quite, US, to hire a company called Caps Cassidy, KCA. Best engineering company in the world for
Mhm.
open pit mines, 100%. We hired them, 3-month project. Usually you wait for the permit, then do it and wait for 3 months. Final engineering, final metallurgy, final design, all those things you need to build. Okay. So we hired them. Now let's talk about project financing. Most people don't. So we say we got 9 years. That lender is going to come in, and I've got 3 term sheets. I could choose any one of them right now. I'm, they're all very good, beautiful. Call them 110 million USD. That's usually
Mhm.
what the financing package looks like.
Mhm.
What's that financier really concerned about? He wants to get his money back. So even though we have 9 years at PFS, the payback right now at today's prices is 1.1 years. That's how profitable this is. We pay all that capital back in 1.1 year. So that's what the bank wants to see. So what we've done in that pit is the first 3.5 years are really, even though I can't say it at feasibility, we've drilled that whole first starter pit off at 25 meters. It's a proven resource. So the bank can hang their hat on that. And we have the term sheets
Mhm.
prove that. And so, yeah, we've got the debt financing. The final engineering is 60 days from being finished. We're
Mhm.
looking at man camp. We've got the water. We've got everything we need. And we're going to get to work as soon as we get that permit.
Okay, super. So that means you can all do with debt, or is there also some equity
But you
involved?
know what? Like, we just raised, as you know, look, we're very good with our equity. People should understand during AMLO, 100 million, all bought deal financings. The biggest banks in Toronto, big syndicates of 5 or
Mhm.
6 banks, all that money came from long only precious metal fund, the Franklin Templeton, Merck, Van Eck, et cetera, et cetera. So the last one we did was 2 years ago, February past. BMO led it. Beautiful. I think it was an 18 million. We took that 18 million for 2 MREs, mineral resource estimates,
Mhm.
a PEA on the underground, a PFS. We developed underground for several kilometers, for a kilometer into the old mine so we could drill underground and build a 50-kilometer highway. And we come down to a couple of $1 million and they said, okay, that's how we do it. We know we can raise money, spend it all, get value, and then raise some more. We just raised 15 million on another bought deal. You
Mhm.
saw that just a couple of months ago, a month or more ago. It got announced that we actually, when we were in SMI in Zurich,
Mhm.
that's when I got the offer from 2 banks to do the bought deal financing. So we took it and we did it very quickly. That being said, so we have that money in the bank. Um, I'm not the way I look at raising more money, I wanna do as much as I possibly can on debt. There will be a component that the lenders will want me to have in the bank. I
Mhm.
think 15 or 20 or whatever it's going to be, and they're talking US dollars. Could there be another raise? Sometimes these debt providers actually want to invest money at a premium after the permit comes out.
Okay,
So,
that's a positive dilution.
that's very positive. So
Yeah,
yes, that's very positive. So right now, two big things coming: the PEA in 3 weeks. We'll talk about that for the underground, and then the permit, and then we'll see where we are, and then I'll announce the debt package. So
super.
yes, it's going to be exciting.
Okay, super. So let's guess permit is there. You have the financing, project finance is fine. How long would it take that the open pit is running?
So if you go to look at the study, um, it says the timing in there in the PFS. And Francisco, who's going to build it, would have had to sign off on this. It's 18 months.
Okay,
So
super.
let's just say we get it September, August, September. I'm just making a date up. I can't guarantee that, but I see things. I'm not out of the ordinary here, or not make crazy statements. By the end of 2026, we become a 5 million silver equivalent ounce producer. High margin, making about 60, 80 million USD free cash flow a year for 9 years. That's
Beautiful.
an incredible.
Okay, super. So that's for me a perfect game plan. You can use also part of the money of the cash flow then to really get the underground probably developed, which I like because that means no more real dilution in the beginning. Um, how does it look like there? Because you said you are working on a PEA for the underground, right?
So you've actually seen very clearly exactly what the game plan is here. Get that pit, get it cash flowing. Now, the PEA, there's two different ways you can do the PEA. You can do the PEA where you say, okay, make the PEA so we build the pit and then you build the mine.
Mhm,
We're not going to do that. We're going to
mhm,
basically come out with the PEA for the underground in 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. That's going to be basically give you that mine plan that while you're building the pit, you can start the underground at any time.
mhm.
It'll be designed that way because it's a different design if you're gonna do them at the same time. So,
Of course.
you're gonna be able to see it, but here's what I think is gonna happen. We're gonna get that pit built. If we and there's a lot of work to do in the underground. PEA will come out
Mhm,
2, 3 weeks. It's going to I'm not speaking at a school. People can say, everybody knows I've got an 800 ton per day permit. Most people know I bought an 800 ton per day mill several years ago in Canada and have it on the mountain already. So you
mhm,
can guess that the PEA is going to match up to an 800 ton per day initial operation. Call that 3 million tons if you did the math.
mhm,
We're going to match the amount of time up to not around 10 years. So you're doing the same as the pit, but always knowing that the pit will expand. I told you that's only 65% of the ore. It will push back and there'll be more down the road. The underground is just getting going. Why? This is a fact. I have an 800 ton per day permit. Joking. I already have 113 million silver equivalent ounces drilled off underground. It would take us 31 years to run it all, and we're going to add more and more and more because we're still drilling to run it through. So you can understand it. And I want people to think about this. When they look at that PEA, they're going to see matching up to our permit. They're going to see beautiful economics, but then read that very carefully because then you'll see what other ore is almost ready to go, and when you add that on, people will quickly say, "Oh, they're gonna have to make that mill bigger at some point." But that's Mexico. Most of the big underground mines you see, they if they're 3,000 tons per day now, they did not start there. They started at 1,000, and then several years later, they were 1,500 or 2,000, and then
mhm.
it's just an expansion. So
Yeah.
this will be the appetizer for the underground. And let me finish the thought.
Mhm,
We get the PEA now. Remember, I've got to build the underground for 18 months, end of 2026. I probably will self-fund from the open pit the underground work, but we'll get some of it done as we go develop underground. We're already underground. We're underground miners. You can see some of that on our website if you wanted to. That being said, the PFS will be the next level. That'll be the next study. Just like we did for the open pit, there's a chance if I self-fund it that I can build that on the basically on the PFS for the underground. So what I'll want to do is have that PFS ready by spring of 2026. Let's just use
mhm.
that as an example. And then we're going to see where we are. Do we wait
Okay.
and build the underground when we cash flow, or do we say, wow, it's so good, let's just throw the money at it and do it now together? We'll figure that out as we go. Time
Okay.
will tell.
Yeah,
And the
for
price is
sure,
going
for
to
sure.
tell too.
Yeah, so there's a lot of excitement here. I like
Yes.
that. So let's assume for a second you will be end of 2026. Let's say first quarter 2027,
Yes.
open pit is up and running. Okay, so then you are parallel also working, of course, on the underground. Let's assume your PFS will be for the underground, then also in the year of 2026. How long would it take that you can start with your 800-ton per day mill? How
So,
long do you think?
you know what? That's a very good question. So, I you're gonna see some of that built into the PEA, but is it, the what I can throw out there, it's about a year, give or take a little bit. It's not a long build process. You gotta remember with the underground,
Mhm,
biggest thing is to get your underground development done. Building the mill and we already have the mill on the mountain, okay? It's right there. We bought the mill. You put that together, that happens quickly, but you have to be able to get that ore in
mhm,
on surface for that mill. So you want to get ahead of yourself in the development. I'm giving you a little secret here. Let's just say we're building through 2026 the open pit. I'm working some more drilling from underground to, tighten up the underground deposit and to get that 800 ton per day to a PFS we could build. I am probably, that's just, I mean, what my mind goes. You want to know what I think about or what our technical team thinks about. We've already developed the main haulage way, which was the old haulage way from the old Tigre mine, about a half a kilometer in. You can go look at it. It's commercial. It's 5.5 by 5.5. We're hauling ore out of there, but really we have drills in there now. Um, it would be very easy for us to continue developing, which means start building ramps in the fall down into that
mhm,
underground. So
mhm,
that is what really takes the time. I don't think I'm going to sit on my hands until pit's in production, PFS is really ready to go before I start making the first moves to get ready to mine that ore. So that'll be in a state of flux. But the most important thing for people to realize when they see that PEA, we want to keep our options open to go fast. Look at the
mhm.
price of metal right now. People are,
Okay.
it's $36 if it's 50 now. So that's why this PEA will show that it's going to be built that we can do both at the same time. Very important to recognize that when people
Yeah,
read.
exactly. This is what I wanted to hear
Yeah.
from you.
Yes,
Fantastic.
exactly. Fast,
Um,
go fast.
exactly. When we look at the underground, you have silver, you have gold, you have copper, you have lead, you have zinc.
Mhm.
What would be the part of silver? What would it be of gold? And what would it be of the base metals? Meaning,
Let's
are
just,
the base metals that
yeah,
substantial that it would help with a byproduct credit?
100%. So
Mhm,
so, I gotta be careful. You're gonna see all this in a couple of weeks. All of it's gonna be in that PEA. So what we see here, let's just use the old timers. Remember the old timers, 1908, people have to understand this. Why do we have this? 1908, there's no new discovery in Mexico. Every big mine is under an old Spanish head frame or an old American head frame. The Americans were in there from about 1910 to 1930. They all went home when silver went to 10 cents from a buck 32. Tiger was the biggest, highest grade mine, American mine in Mexico. 1908, 1930, 100 million silver equivalent ounces. Now think of this, Jochen, why we need to have it at an average grade over 2.5 kilos. That's
mhm,
what they mined in 22 years. If it wasn't above 1.2 kilos, they left it. So we
mhm,
knew they'd scratch the surface. Why is that important? We got all the mining records from the University of Wyoming. Anaconda were in there in the 80s and saved them. They ended up in the University of Wyoming Anaconda collection. Every one of those mining records. So we looked at what ore the old timers took. All of that vein material is 75 to 77% silver. They mined it. 25% gold. In the vein material, that's what you're going to see. This was a silver mine with a little bit of gold, right? Now, what we do see as we go deeper, especially into that shale a little bit, but more in the sulfide zone, you're going to have more base metal.
mhm.
In all likelihood, we'll have two cons here, but let's just wait till that report comes out. There will be some substantial base metal, but this is and always will be a high grade silver mine. Full stop.
Fantastic.
Underground.
Super. I like that. That's also a great final word. I would say you guys are on a really, really, yeah, high speed path, very positive path, and there will be the next three to yeah 6, 7 weeks. There will be some really two good substantial news, which yeah would shoot you extremely forward.
I think, Jochen, there's one thing I wanna say, if I could have 1 more minute,
Yes.
and I wanna get the last word, and then you can have it.
That's
Look,
all good.
people don't understand. There's lots of gold mines.
Mm,
There's not many silver mines in this world
mhm.
that you can invest in, and look what's happened in the last several months. The ones you could have invested in, Silvercrest, gone, bought by Core.
Yeah.
10,000,000 silver equivalent ounce producer, 5.5 years of mine life left, 2,000,000,000. Gatos, half of Gatos was sold to for 40% of First Majestic.
Mhm.
They're gone. Mag Silver just went. So
Yeah.
the list is getting shorter, but I want to use an example here that I think is very cognizant. What's a 10,000,000 silver equivalent ounce producer worth? Well, we have some real good sales in the last 6 months that tell us that.
Mhm.
Because make no mistake, the open pit is 5,000,000 silver equivalent ounces. The underground, 4 to 5 million silver equivalent ounces at 800 tons per day. That's just a guesstimate. So call us 10,000,000. 2,000,000,000 is what Silvercrest just went for. If you look at Gatos, uh, a multi-billion-dollar asset. If you
Mhm.
look at Mag Silver, a couple of $1 billion. So from my side, what a great time to be becoming a silver producer in a world
Couldn't
where
be better.
there's barely any to invest in. So we're very excited. Our timing's good, and we're gonna execute our plan.
Absolutely, and your timing couldn't be better because silver is working on a major, well, it had a breakout already, but I would call it's working on a major breakout out of a 45, 46-year cup and handle formation. And we have much, much higher price targets for silver this year, next year, also the years coming. And we see it also 3 digits within the next 3 to 4 years easily. And so from that perspective, sounds like a great investment. Well, Glenn, I want to say thank you very much. It was great 27 minutes with you here now. I like it. I really will check your company. It's also a little bit, yeah, came back to me newly in that sense. And yeah, I wish you well, and I have a good feeling that we talk quite soon.
Thank you, Jochen. Really appreciate coming back for a second time.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there was Glenn Jessome, the CEO of Silver Tiger Metals, and you heard it. Open pit. Underground. Things are really progressing. They are really on high speed. They are in Mexico. Things are going well. They get the permit for the open pit, also working here on the PEA for the underground, and they are ready to rock, I would call it. And they have mostly silver, but they have also gold. They have some base metals. That's exactly what you want to have in those times with rising silver prices, gold at all-time highs. This is how it goes. And the team is fantastic, super top-notch professionals. They have a great track record, and they have done it. And don't forget, as Glenn said already, they have already 3 term sheets on the table for debt financing to really get that open pit started. This is what we want to hear. I really, yeah, advise you, have a very, very good look on Silver Tiger Metals. Really check out the company. I will do so too. So thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.